Good morning, my crafty friends. It's Krista here from Second Chance Creation. First of all, if you hear roosters in the background, it's my neighbours, and it's early in the morning, and the sun's coming up. So so that's the sound that you'll hear. First of all, I would like to take the opportunity to welcome all of my new subscribers. My goodness, my channel is growing. I am hoping to target the 1,000 so that I can do some lives. And when I do a video, I'll go straight on the live because it saves a lot of time uploading as well for me. I'm going to do a couple of Etsy shares, but they're going to be in 1, 2, 3 categories because I don't have that much time allowed on my phone because I'm doing this on my phone. So this will be my Etsy share number 1, and it's going to be my SteamPunk journal. This is a little bit different. It's a nice soft steampunk, nothing too heavy and metallic or too dark. I'd like it a little bit more feminine. So, and also I just wanted to use what I had in my stash to get right into the steampunk. You know, you'd have to buy a lot of other things that I just didn't have. So, you know, more dyes to make better gears or printables, download some printables. I actually printed out about half a dozen images from Pinterest, the free printables, and because I just didn't have enough of my magazine steampunk pictures to warrant making a journal. So yes, so it's all made from recycles except for the book corners and the glue and some of the paper clips. Actually, these paper clips I probably did get from an op shop. Sometimes you can buy them in the packet. And so various things that I've used, and I'll go through with you what it holds. The actual cover is made from one of my faux leather covers because I've made a few, and I've had you know, a couple. I've got a couple in reserve, and I did a little bit of experiment with a little bit of stenciling just on here. And they have book corners. The closure is quite easy. It's a quite heavy chain because it has a small chain linked through it as well. And just see if you can see that. So yes, and that's an op shop find. Okay, and I've popped that through a bowl pin. So if you didn't want the chain, you can just take that off. It has 2 signatures. It was meant to be 1, but I got carried away, of course, how we all do. And I didn't really fold it, but it came out that way that it has a bit of a fold because it's still a nice soft cover. And I've sewn the signatures in with my sewing awl, and so it lies flat on your lap. And I've actually tried it yesterday because I took it outside when I had my cup of coffee and went through the journal on its final flip through, and I laid it on my lap with nothing else, and it laid nice and flat to journal on. So that's what I like about when I use my sewing awl. So let's go and venture in at the front. So as you can see, the front, I'll take this off. I've actually had to make a topper first because if I had done, you know, put it all on one and then worked on the journal, it would be, would be a bit scary. So I've made the topper first, and I've used corrugated cardboard. I painted it with some metallic paint. I use snippets, offcuts of lace that I colour dyed about 2 years ago, and that's all the little bits. And I've got, when I took these off the spine here, I use them as tabs, just, you know, throughout. Use some of my die cuts that were gifted to me. This is a little gate, like a fairy tale gate, and I'll just cut it in half and pop that on the back. This here, it looks like metal, these little corners here and this little piece here, but it's not. It's actually those plastic crowns that the young girls get to put on their head when they feel like being a princess. So I've cut that into pieces and painted it, okay? This is from a 12 by 12 inch cardstock. that was gifted to me. I've got a whole pile of papers, a friend of the family from Queensland. And so, yeah, I've got plenty now, but I only had one sheet of this in here. And wow, how it lended itself to the theme that I was looking for. The picture is of Pinterest, but there's two pictures here. There's the girl and there's this. So I wanted them both together. So what I did was I cut a slit under the hat, and I've just popped her head underneath to make it look like one picture. Okay, so that's actually two pictures. And then I've embellished around with the gears, some lace, some mesh netting. These are little roses, but they're like clay roses, I think. And then I've popped this chain on with a safety pin, which you can't take off, unfortunately. You can probably open it if you wish. It's a black one, and I've just popped in this chain. You can probably cut the chain off if you find it's too long. And I've put on here, Own Your Life. She owns a life. She's a nice, classy steampunk lady, and she loves these colours, so that's what I went with. So let's go and venture inside. I've kept the inside plain for a change, and I've just got the bookkeeper's note in there, or bookmaker's note. Little bit about how you can, if it's your first time here, you can use the journal. These pages are very heavily colour dyed, and they just happen to match this because I did these quite a while ago as well, and I can't remember for the life of me what colour I used, but anyway, that's okay. I never make two journals the same anyway. And I reinforced the spine. I didn't have any fabric that lended itself to this journal, so I used some flower wire. Okay, see if you can see that. There it is. So I used some flower wire to strengthen that spine. And it's a metal one. It's not like a thick plastic one, so it'll never come undone. So yes, so here I've made a tuck spot, and this is part of the paper stock that I said that the shoe was on. So I've used all the elements of this one piece that I had left. So I've made a little notepad for her, okay, and then used the dress form and just added some gears as the tuck. It's a paper towel. Here I've made a bookmark, okay. This time it's only a small one, it's not a big one. And I got these images from Pinterest. That's one of the images that I got. And I used a page that had really pale pastel colours in it. And I thought, oh, I like that, to see how this came out. It came out really cool, and I just stitched a bit of twine on the top, and that can be your bookmark. Okay. Paper bag. And I made a little notebook with all my little scraps. Dictionary paper, little flip out. And this is Tim Holt's cardstock 6x6 pad that I bought at Christmas time last year. After Christmas last year, not this year. Bit of cardstock, and I punched some holes in this with my, just your normal cheap punches that you can hand punches. Magazine. And here's another one that I printed out from Pinterest, and again on the same paper, and just popped on it butterfly and a bit of an O-ring there. Can journal on that one. Bit of stamping. Here's a tab, music paper. Here I've made a little brad. You can swivel that around. You can't take this brad off, unfortunately, because I glued a metallic button to it, and another piece of round cardstock, so you don't hurt yourself, and just put on some twirlies so you can make it. You can journal on these if you wish. Okay, secret little message. Just love how these colours turned out. Here I had some pages left from the elephant journal and made a belly band. A bit more stamping. Each signature has an envelope in the middle. Each signature holds 11 pages, and that includes the envelope. But what I've done with this one, I've actually tore the inside of the window and just put some chalk, some black ink around it, and just so that you can see what's behind it peeking through in the colour. Bit of stamping, and this is what's inside. Isn't she gorgeous? So I got this from a magazine as well, and here's my stitching that I stitched through, and just popped in some tabs just there. And of course, this is from the Tim Holtz paper pad butterfly. Here I've used another one of my punches, and I used a soft piece of cardboard and just painted that, made it look metallic. Collect moments, not things. How true is that? How true is that? Magazine, I made a little tuck spot. This is a clothing tag, so you know it's all recycled. This is from the paper pad. Did a bit of stitching. This is a little flip. Okay, from a magazine, and I've just popped in a couple of little bits and pieces from my stash. Bit of stamping, 3 stamps. This was part of the family member that sent me the papers, and because she makes cards, and the cardstocks also sent me a whole heap of stamps. So I went through and I had the world stamp, the balloon stamp, and the arrow stamp, and I put them both together. Made a tuck spot from the cardstock, had all the big clocks on it, and I used a die cut to cut this out. I think they call it beehive or something. And when I put this in, testing it, it kept getting caught, so I backed it with my wax paper, which is this one here. Okay, this is wrapping paper that I waxed, and it's come out really, really nice, and it still smells nice because it was lavender candle that I used. So yeah, so I've stitched it on the back to make it really easy to pop in there. And of course I made this cute little tag. This was from Pinterest as well as this one. Just made a little tuck spot. Other side the envelope. And this one has, I just stapled some cash receipts. They've been pretty heavy colour dyed, and they've popped in here. So there's plenty of journaling areas to you know, write notes and stuff. So second signature, and I've used the rest of that cardstock. Oh, it was beautiful. Here, this is a tree. Of course it's upside down, isn't it? But I've popped the butterfly on it, and just to make it look a little bit more realistic. And this one here pops open. It's a 4-fold one. Okay, and I didn't ink the inside of this one. I kept it nice and clean, and just popped a clock on the butterfly just to make it look a bit quirky, I guess. And you can just see the mesh, the fly wire mesh just in the middle here. Just edged this with a little bit of paper stock, because I just need to secure some of this part of the signature. Here I've made a bit of a flip up. This is from the Pinterest image as well. As you can see, I've used probably about 6 or 7 images, so from Pinterest. And I have my own printer now. So hubby bought me my own printer, and I'll be setting that up, so I'm really excited. Used a bit of more embellishment, and you flip that up, and there's an envelope under here, so you can tuck a secret little note in there if you wish. This is from Pinterest as well, on that pretty paper that I mentioned earlier, and stitched right around it. made into a flip. Here we come to a paper clip, and here's some more of that really pretty paper that I made the elephant journal out of. And the paper clip, this picture is from Pinterest. And what I've done is I had some of the cover left over because I had to cut it down a bit. Didn't want to waste it. So I've glued the paper clip, and I stitched around it first and then glued the paper clip. So yeah, and left the threads. If you don't like the thread, just, you know, cut them off. And that goes back in there. And we'll do that after. It's always fiddly when you're trying to get it back in. Here I've made a belly band, and went a bit crazy here, I think. This is from the Tim Holtz paper pad, and so is this. So I've put both together, and this is the outside of a foolscap piece of cardboard that was in a folder, and I kept this and to make it into a belly band. And here I've used an index card, snippet from a magazine. This is from a magazine as well. Okay, and it just fits nicely in there. Here was a tear, was an accident, and sometimes tears come in handy. I didn't want to put a big band-aid on it, so I've actually tore it a bit more, glued it up to hold my little envelope here that you can journal on. It's book pages that I've glued together and then decoupaged with some tissue paper that I had, and that just goes around whichever way you want to put it. Okay, magazine, and here I've just put this on here just to strengthen that part. Come to the second middle of the signature, and here is the some more of that corrugated cardboard. It was quite thin, and I thought that was going to look really good, and I've punched the holes in, painted, made it look a bit metallic. And here's the window that I tore from this one as well, and you can see someone peeking through. And here she is. Isn't she a clever girl? And you know, balancing herself on that hook off that machine, twirling around some gears. Oh, very talented. And of course, tuck spot, and another tuck spot just here because I didn't want to cut the envelope. Magazine. Made a tag here. This is from Tim Holtz cardstock. Had one gear left. It's a cut out of a magazine. Popped on some little buttons and some burlap or hessian on the bottom, and you can journal on the back. I think that's right, yep. Another tuck, and here I've had this paper left over, did a bit of stamping, used some more of my cover that I cut off on the bottom because it was too long, and stitched it on and made that into a belly band. And here I've just put together some scrappy bits of paper to journal on. And the front is my waxed wrapping paper. And that just fits in nicely in there. And then this side is a magazine cutout and a couple of tags to journal on. And that just tucks back in here. Magazine. Had this film strip die cut for quite a while. This is off the Tim Holtz. I needed something metallic. Well, planes are steel, aren't they? And this was out of a magazine, and I've just made that into a little flip. Or a tuck spot. Here, cute little thing. Got this from a magazine. I've been whenever I see sort of like a soft steampunk, I just keep them and put them in a folder, and then I know that when I have enough, I can make a journal. But in this case, I thought I had enough, but it wasn't enough to make a journal. That's why I printed out some pictures from Pinterest. But here's a little flipper. Okay, bit of stamping. This little scrappy little postage stamp cluster comes from Bonnie. Thank you, Bonnie. I'm finally using using them, and just pop some burlap on the back of that. This would have to be my favourite tag. I used that lovely pink paper, okay, and I've got it from Pinterest. Made a tuck spot from the leftover cover, put a piece of the lace on the trim that I had left over, but look how soft that colour comes through, because I was going to colour her in, and I'm hopeless in doing that. By using this pastel print, it came out really cool. Popped an eyelet on there, and then I had a snippet of from a magazine with a stopwatch. It was in my SteamPunk stash that I keep. Backed it onto some cardstock to make it nice and secure. Popped an eyelet on that and attached it with a chain. I mean, how cool is that? How cool is that? And that just pops in there. So this would have to be my favourite tag. And that's it. And that's the journal. I'll have all the description. Well, I can tell you now how big this one is. It's about 8.5, which equates to 21.5 centimetres. 5.5, which equates to about 14.5. Even though it's a round type of spine, I think it's about 1 inch or 3 centimetres, I think. Yep. Okay. Each signature has 11 pages, so you've got 22 pages all up, which equates to 88 sides, front and back. So yes, and it stands on its own quite nicely. So yes, so this will be listed in my Etsy store, and this will be Etsy share number 1, and I think I've got another 2 or 3 happening, so because I can't use load it all up. Now if I was on a live I could. All right guys, have a great day. The sun's coming up, it's early morning here, and I hope you are all well, and I'll see you next time. Bye.